Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Next up on WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro Podcast, Winners Edition, following the NTK Carolina Nationals. We're going to dive in with Andrew Hines, Pro Stock Motorcycle. All you Pro Stock Motorcycle fans out there, remember, share the show. Let your friends who are fans of Pro Stock Motorcycle hear from Andrew Hines or Jerry Savoie, whoever our guest happens to be. Last week it was Karen Stouffer, but share the show on your social media so that they can hear exactly how cool these drivers are and follow along with the NHRA Countdown. We're going to hear from Andrew just seconds from now, but right now, the sponsors who make it possible. And literally, I would not be doing this if Total Seal Piston Rings didn't step up to support the show. They're the leader in ring seal technology. You find Total Seal Piston Rings in all the top machines out there, whether it be NHRA Stock Eliminator, the Nitro Ranks, Pro Mod, IndyCar, NASCAR, or otherwise. They learn from racing. They apply it to regular piston rings. They make tools as well. TotalSeal.com. MagicDryUS.com. The official organic absorbent of the NHRA. You can get spill kits for your shop, for your factory, regardless of how regular or how huge. MagicDryUS.com is the place. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed with Samtech.edu. Block, head, CNC programs, Motorsport EFI. If you want to become a high-performance engine builder or a CNC machinist, Samtech is a great place to start. Samtech.edu, located in Houston. Get on the website, check them out. Great place to start. Foundational core education for a career that will last a lifetime. Samtech.edu. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com to find out how you can drive a dragster at 120 miles an hour, 130 miles an hour, or 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, frankhawley.com. And Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Marvin Rodak, going to be down there at the Fan Fest, AAA Texas Fall Nationals. Going to be working on alcohol funny cars out there. We're working on Mark Billington's car and have a little time to hang out with me. That's Rodax. Get a pound of coffee. You get some hot sauce. You get some spice rub. Ask for the holiday packs. Ask for that WFO radio blend, the Funny Car Chaos, drag racing themed blends of gourmet coffee. You can't imagine how fantastic it is. That is Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Plus Drag Racing Edge Magazine, EV3 Drag Racing, cross-promotional ties, doing great things. Pick up your copy of Drag Racing Edge by subscribing, and EV3 Drag Racing is free on your mobile device. All right, let's get into it with the Pro Stock Motorcycle winner and points leader and dominator of the whole season, Andrew Hines. Andrew, welcome back. How are you? Congratulations.
I'm doing good, Joe. Glad to be back after a few weeks off, I guess.
First win of the countdown. Exactly correct, sir. And yet, you are the points leader, and you are the points leader by 57 points over Karen Stouffer. So without winning a race in the first couple of races, first two, by the way, long drought, right, Andrew? You're still in great position for the championship after what has to be one of your favorite places on the whole tour, ZMAX Dragway.
Yeah, there's just something special about that racetrack. I really can't pinpoint it, but it's been really kind to me since probably about 2012. Didn't win very many rounds there, or any maybe in the first 3 or 4 years that I raced there, and then the floodgates have kind of opened since 2012. So I think I've won maybe 8 races between 4-wide and standard 2-wide racing there. So ZMAX is like one of my favorite homes in the NHRA Tour.
People ask me this week, like been doing kind of like an informal picks, through the countdown. And this one was a no-brainer. I was like, listen, if there's anything that has been absorbed into my brain with these multiple interviews is that Andrew Hines runs well at ZMAX. And certainly it turned out to be true. But there were some other quick and fast bikes out there. Let's put your expertise to use in that. Karen Stouffer, fastest Suzuki ever. Jerry Savoie, quick and fast. And Steve Johnson, first #1 qualifier in a couple of years, in a season where some people were leaving Suzukis to be dead. What's happening? What is it? Just tuning? Is there a part that you guys are making? What's going on with Suzukis? And I know the fans have got to be happy about it.
Well, there's been a big resurgence from those guys, that's for sure. In the regular season, we ran really well with our Harley-Davidsons, and we weren't exactly, the fastest or the quickest bike every weekend. We just found a way to win and get to those final rounds and just pick away at the tune-up all day long. And the Suzukis, they were just kind of, for the most part, they were just kind of in the way sometimes. They weren't running anywhere near the level of expectation that we expect our Vance and Hines customers to run. And I don't think it's one thing that the White Alligator team stumbled upon or Steve Johnson stumbled upon. I think what we're seeing on our side ultimately is a fuel inconsistency. Rolling into Sonoma, our bikes just started reacting completely different on the same way we've been tuning them all season long. They became numb. We couldn't adjust the performance of the motorcycle. They would run good as the air got good and cool. We'd run bad as the air got hot, and we'd be making the appropriate changes to combat that. It just would not change the performance of the bike. And at that same time, the Suzuki's all of a sudden woke right up. So we're thinking it's kind of leading back to maybe we're on a different batch of Sunoco fuel that we've been running since Sonoma on versus Sonoma prior. We started hurting parts in the engine with the same tune-ups, and being on the safe side, it's very, very, very strange. So we can almost chalk it up to what the problem is, and it's not just a fuel injection thing. Steve Johnson's still running carburetors, so it's not people finding the right keystrokes here and there. The old tried and true method of running carburetors is obviously quick and fast with Steve out there qualifying number 1 in Charlotte. Wow,
that is an interesting note in that those and they're like electronic carburetors, right? It's like I've heard them discussed in the past, but the fact that carburetor's a carburetor.
Yeah, it is. It's just it's pulling the fuel signal in through the needle and the power jet, just like an old school deal, like they've been running out in this class well before I started racing in it. So
amazing.
He's running a digital ignition now with I think Steve's probably run the MSD, but it is what it is, and can't really pinpoint it. But this just kind of common sense. If you look back at it, that they picked up exactly where we fell off, and all the V-twins seem to be struggling with it right now too.
Interesting. But in this case, though, you were able to go out there and get the win. Day started off with a win over Michael Ray, and interesting in that, like you said, going down the racetrack, you had an 0.29 reaction time, run mid-80s, by far not the quickest run of the round, but what it took to win. But your closest competition, some of your closest competition falling by the wayside. We had a marquee matchup scheduled for Sunday morning between Eddie and Matt. First time they've raced all year. Crazy stat. They hadn't raced since the final run of last year, which determined the championship. Eddie got the best of Matt on this one. Matt goes 002, but his bike is having problems going into high gear. Eddie is able to take the win, and that's one of your championship contenders. Jerry Savoy goes red, 12th out of Gianna Salinas, and so just like that, 2 championship contenders out first round.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I told Eddie after we got back from first round, like, with those guys going out, today's the day to capitalize. We got to make sure we get this deal done. So, unfortunately, he wasn't able to take out Karen second round. That would have been huge for us shaking up the points at the top there and stopping her a little bit earlier. But we've just been struggling with his bike on getting it to leave the starting line. It's either bogging or blowing the tire off. There's no happy medium. So we're going to play with a few things in Dallas this weekend, try and get his bike a little bit more consistent. But those key players going out first round, you start watching that happen, or actually, fortunately for me, it all happened behind me. Otherwise, I probably would have felt a little more pressure first round. But, going up there for first round, like you said, I was, kind of a mid-80 run, not spectacular. And it all comes back to, we had all that rain on Sunday, and it just destroyed the racing surface from the beams behind, from negative 10 feet, basically. There was just not a whole lot of rubber up there. So Eddie and I went up there scouting it out before first round, and it looked pretty bleak. So I went back to the trailer, made some big changes in my clutch, and lo and behold, NHRA Safety Safari did a good enough job where the fuel cars and pro stock cars started putting down rubber, and we get up there, and I got the best track of the entire weekend sitting underneath my tire, and I was just shaking my head in my helmet for first round, thinking I just did completely the wrong thing in my clutch setup, and it's going to stick the tire, and then it's going to jump off the ground, and I knew I needed to have better than like a 50 or 60 light, because I didn't want to give Michael Ray too much of a head start, and in case my bike really did really bad off the starting line. And so I rolled my hand back a little bit to kind of my semi-final round setting, and popped up that 29 light, and it did exactly what I said. It stuck the tire, and then it jumped off the ground 3 times, and still able to get the win. the air got good, and our Harleys like good air. So, ran nearly 199 mile an hour on that run. And then just made the appropriate changes for the next round. We knew the track was going to be good, and it wasn't going to get a whole lot worse. The guys, Safety Safari always does a pretty phenomenal job of keeping it consistent on race days, and they did. So,
and that's an interesting track. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we improved from that 86 in the first round to an 81 in the second round. So hindsight, looking back on it, if I could have had an average 106.60 foot out there first round, I probably could have gone 79, which would have been more in contention with Karen and Jerry there first round.
Very interesting. And for people who are wondering about the track surface out there at TMAX, it's just, from what everybody says, and please elaborate, just extremely smooth, like maybe too polished, like maybe too smooth. Like it's like the floor of a Home Depot kind of.
Right, yeah. So what they did years ago when they built that track, they built it as a downhill racetrack. But when they first poured that concrete back in 2007 or 8, whatever it was, they didn't start the downhill section until the beams. Well, when you got motorcycles that are 10 feet long and pro stock cars that are 15 feet long or whatever, and dragsters that are 25 feet long, you're getting a run on this horizontal surface, and then all of a sudden you go off this cliff at the starting line when your tire's already going in between, we're probably going 30 mile an hour by the time the wheelie bar leaves the beams. And a fuel car is probably going 60 miles an hour in that first 25 feet. So you're going off a shelf, it kind of threw things for a loop, and you'd see it weird in drive shaft speed and all that stuff. But what they did a few years back, I'm not sure exactly what year it was, they replaced that pad that we all launched from and then reground the surface forward of that. So then we're kind of sitting on a downhill to start instead of having to run off of a cliff. So I think when they did that, they probably got the starting line area too smooth, and you can definitely see that it's either the type of concrete they put in there, maybe the mixture is wrong, the wrong type of aggregate, things like that. That gets into the concrete science stuff there that I don't understand, but it just won't hold rubber. We talked to Lanny McLizzy. We work with the John Force team over there a lot on how the track is up there with the track specialists, and it has very poor bond. The rubber does not want to adhere to the concrete very well. Just, starting line backwards of the starting line. And you saw that, and, forward to the starting line, it looked great. We could have got down there no problem, but right where your tire's sitting, 6-7 feet behind the starting line, it was kind of miserable looking until a lot of cars started running over it. So they did a good job getting enough rubber down there to make it consistent on race day. I think we saw good racing in all the classes across the board.
Yeah. Oh, Monday was unbelievable. So second round, you mentioned the 81. You needed it because Scotty Polachek goes trip 0 on you. Did you know that he was out on you? It was only 0.03 of a second because you were in the mix. But still, when someone goes perfect, you got to sense it. Were you able to?
Yeah, I could see it on the tree that I was behind him a little bit. I let my gaze stay on the tree a little bit as I pop the clutch and just try to see how the stage bulb and pre-stage bulb go off.
You got to explain that now.
My lane or the other.
You got to explain that because that is like great inside baseball that I don't know that we've ever discussed here on WFO, and it's also something that super gas and super comp racers do all the time. So how can you tell who's had the better light go?
Well, it's all about mental timing, right? It's how fast can you see something react differently than the other. So I do that with every class that I watch. A lot of people are staring at the tree. They're looking for maybe a red light or a green light and see who's got what. But I tend to look at the pre-stage bulb, and that'll kind of tell you the truth on who left first. And it's tough to do when you're the racer because you're getting the G-force, you're letting go of the clutch, you're focused on your run, but I just kind of instead of snapping my eyes forward as soon as I'm popping the clutch, I just kind of let my eyes stay fixed on the tree for that split second. And I can just, out of my peripheral vision, just to the top of where I'm looking, I can see the bulbs go off. And sometimes I'm wrong. I get to the end of the track and think, wow, I actually left on them. But when you get a big enough difference, at least 300 is what you can see on the tree. And you can tell if you're good or bad relation to the person next to you. Then I can know, okay, I got a little bit of margin I can work with here. It's just kind of like a mental reassurance. Like, do I have any cushion or am I really far behind and I got to make sure I make a perfect run right now? So it's something I've developed here probably in the last 5 or 6 years. I never used to do that a long time ago, but after making, I don't know how many runs, 4,000 plus runs on this Harley Davidson over the years, I kind of got accustomed to how it leaves and got my fair share of runs at all these racetracks. And Charlotte's a little bit tougher to see because they're still using the 4-wide tree.
Yes.
So they're using bulb 1 and bulb 4 that we would use at the 4-wides. So your bulbs are separated by a little bit more, and I think that's harder for me to see. And but I know when I left with Scotty there and he was perfect and I was 30, I saw his go off first, and I'm like, oh boy, he definitely got a good chunk of that one.
He did. But you drove around. It was a good run by Scotty.
And that was actually, I think Reinhardt commented in the tower that it was actually a quadruple zero light that Scotty had, because up in the tower they go back to the 4th digit on reaction times and finish line ET and all that. And I think Reinhardt commented it was actually 4 zeros.
Unbelievable. Good run by Scotty, and you had to go ruin it. But, hey, that's the way it works, right? That 81 came at the right time. Putting you in the semis against Hector Jr., who goes red. He's had a tough season with the big red evil eye. Karen gets around Steve Johnson, setting up the final round. And Karen with an uncharacteristic 110 in the semis, so I know you weren't expecting a 100 light. Maybe she was having some sort of problem, but booming speed, 199.20, and great race. 680 with a 5 to a 680 with a 4, and your 41 reaction time, better of the two, so you won the race, and that's how you have earned a 57-point lead. Talk about that final, and there's only 2 drivers within 100 points. You, Karen, and then Eddie is 115 back.
Yeah, that's... that was a crucial round right there for trying to stay number 1 with having a little bit of cushion. So, 3-round lead right now is what it could come down to later in the year. But Pomona's going to be 1.5 points, and that's going to shake things up. But the swing on that deal, it's just like it was in St. Louis. She was going to be 2 no matter what. I think leaving St. Louis, and if she gets the 20 and I don't, that closes the gap. If I get the 20, she doesn't, I extend it. So. Same thing this weekend. It's you gotta find those opportunities to rise to the occasion. And I didn't have a great light by any means. I was trying to be low up there on the reaction time, and just kind of struggled getting a good clean look at it. And the semis and the finals came up 48-41, which is not where I like to be late in the round. So luckily, I was able to squeak that one out. I made my cleanest, best run of the entire weekend. Our quickest DT of our team and our fastest speed of the entire event. Had Matt Smith shifted against Eddie Krawick, Eddie in first round, I'm sure Matt would have probably ran significantly over 200 miles an hour based upon his half-track speed and all that. But when your day doesn't go right, it don't go right. So, but yeah, winning the deal, Charlotte, like I said, if I could bottle that up and sell it to these people, I don't know what the magic is at that one racetrack, but it's pretty phenomenal for my side of the team. We've done really, really well there, and it's nice to earn those points. It's crucial crunch time. It's when you can kick off a 2-race back-to-back weekend with a win, it makes the second weekend a little bit easier on you. You don't feel like you have to play catch-up as much, so it takes a little bit of pressure off, and we'll go rolling to hot Dallas and try and see what we can do.
There you go. I'm excited about it. The countdown, 3 down, 3 to go, 57 up. You've had a dominant year. You lost all those points because of the countdown, but to me, the entertainment is watching you struggle to do it again, and you are doing it again. And who else is doing it again? Steve Torrance is doing it again. Got, punched in the teeth out there in Reading, rallied back, got a final against his dad, won this race, and that's the whole concept. We've been debating whether it's good or bad or otherwise, but the entertainment value is very high watching you guys go through it. So good luck this weekend. Congratulations on last weekend. 3 down, 3 to go.
Oh, boy. It's coming down to crunch time, isn't it?
Yes.
Let's get going.
Yes, it is. Andrew, thanks for coming on WFO Radio Podcast. Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Yep. Thanks, Joe.
There he goes, Andrew Hines, with us here on WFO Radio Podcast. Nice little debrief session in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Great weekend of racing. And it is all brought to you by samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure in particular, although you should go get your license too. Why not? MagicDryUS.com and Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. We'll have more WFO. In the meantime, check out the archive, all kinds of great entertainment. The Ignition show from last week was spectacular. Lots of fun stuff with the winners, NHRA Nitro. Click subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Just go to WFOradio.com, and whichever one is best for you is the best thing to do. More WFO coming up.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.
You've been listening to WFO Radio for a long time now, and you hear these racers all talking about how much they spend, how much they travel, how hard they work, all to accelerate really, really quickly. Well, Frank Hawley and Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School has figured a way for you to do it at a fraction of the price, the work, the effort, the time. It is a fun experience. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com and investigate. No ride along. You drive it. You are the driver. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more and tell them you heard it on WFO.
Hey, this is Scott Palmer, driver of the NHRA Cat Spot Litter Top Fuel Dragster. Do you have a cat? Go to catspotlitter.com, order it today. All natural product, made out of coconuts, 100% biodegradable. All you NHRA fan, cat owners, support our team. Go to catspotlitter.com.
Hey, engine builders, Total Seal piston rings are the leader in ring seal technology, and they go out of their way to help their customers and will make custom sets for any specific piston you might have. Customer service, top notch. Made in America? Absolutely. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, and they've got everything it takes to develop the world's best piston rings. Give them a call at 800-874-2753 or go to TotalSeal.com.
This is Sean from Traverse City, Michigan. You ever get done with an episode of Ignition or Nitro and say, man, that's a good job. I'd like to give them a pat on the back and a cold beer. Well, with Patreon, you can. So send that drink down to Gio and Joe.
This is WFO Radio.